So I received a question about 3.3 number 2, so I thought I would show you how to do it with Excel because Excel in particular is a bit tricky. Now I'm actually not going to do the problem, I'm going to do the example, which will be just like the problem. So it says there's an accompanying frequency distribution representing the square footage of a random sample of 500 houses that are owner occupied year round. Approximate the mean and standard deviation square footage. Okay, so you click on the icon to view the table, there it is. And then you go up here and hover over that kind of little square rectangle thing. And it has actually a whole bunch of options. You can make different kinds of copies if you're going to paste into Minitab or even Excel. Open in StatCrunch, so you can just open these problems in StatCrunch and it'll be there. Or you can copy to the clipboard. That's what I'm going to do. Copy table to clipboard. Say OK. And then I can go to Excel and paste it in. Let me bring up Excel. Let me paste. Or Control V. Control V would do it. All right, I don't like how narrow this is. I can't see anything, so I'm going to kind of widen it and double click and then click on my rows, kind of make them narrow. All right, and then I'm going to need the midpoints, so I'm going to insert right here. So I clicked on the column, I right clicked and inserted. Oh, you probably can't see very well. Here, let me make it bigger. Oh, good grief. It's fighting me every step of the way about widths and stuff. Okay, there we go. Now we got some widths. All right, so the big mistake students usually make when finding midpoints is they make the mistake of adding the two values that are in that class. So they'll add up 0 and 499 and divide it by 2. But this is really 499.999999999 forever and ever 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 and ever, which we don't want, right? I mean, how would you add that to anything? So what you do is you take 0, which is your lower class limit, and then the next lower class limit. It says it in the book, it's consecutive lower class limits. So you get 0 plus 500, close your parentheses, divide by 2, enter. Now, halfway between 0 and 499.99999 is 250. Now the next one would be 500 plus 1,000, because you take the next class's lower class limit, which is 1,000. Close your parentheses, divide by 2. Well, it's a little bit tedious to do it that way. So there is a faster way to kind of notice, look, 0, 5,000, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, right? So you can see, hopefully you can see, that you have a class width that's equal to 500, right, in this particular problem. So what you can do is you can say, okay, instead of doing this whole adding business, what I could do is I could just take that last midpoint I found and add 500 to it. And then you can drag that formula down the column. And there you go. Right? Okay, so now that we've got that, that's great because we're going to need it to be able to find our lovely mean. Okay. Well, actually, first thing we're going to do is find the sum product and the sum. Okay, so I need to do a couple things here. First thing I want to do, I take it back, I want to find the sum of these frequencies because that's going to be the denominator for my mean. So there we go, 500, which is good because it said in the problem, let me bring it up, that there were 500 houses, right? So that's a good thing. And I don't need to see that table anymore, but it says right up here at the top 500. All right. Okay, so to find the mean, we need to find the sum product and then divide it by this. So let me put total right here. And then this class width was just for our own benefit. I don't really need it there. I can put it over here. It doesn't make any difference. Okay, so I need the sum product. This is not the only way you can do this, but this is kind of a fast way. So you type equals sum product. See, it's a function in Excel. And it's going to do it for 2 arrays. And you want to multiply this array of midpoints. So if you just use your mouse and kind of highlight them. So B2 colon B11, comma, then those frequencies, C2 colon C11, close, right? And then your mean is actually equal to the sum product divided by the total for the frequencies. Yeah, there you go. Now let's see if we're right. Make sure I haven't messed anything up. Okay, so if I click continue, 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 yada, yada, yada. There's the frequencies. There's all that good stuff. Hey, look, 2447. There's the X bar, just like I said it was, 2447. Okay, now we need to find the variance and the standard deviation. There's several ways we can do this, but I think the easiest thing would be to kind of take, okay, the midpoint minus the mean. You're going to be giving the mean dollar signs. Okay. And then you're going to square it, and well, I'll times it by the frequency. Just so for my own sanity's sake. Okay. So it's ugly, but that's what you got to do. This is the part where Excel really is not fun. So you take equals parentheses, midpoint, which is 250 in cell B2, minus the mean, which is C14, but you've got to give C14 dollar signs because you don't want it to change when you start dragging this formula around. Close your parentheses, square it, times the frequency, which is in cell C2. Always use cell references for this. Don't start typing numbers. You'll kill yourself that way. And then you drag it down. Okay. Now I need the total for all this, so I'm going to take the sum of all of those values. Right? And I don't want those to be, I just want to kind of put these in a border, that way I remember that that's the table part and the rest of this is just me doing stuff. So this was the total. So the variance is equal to, oh, are we doing population or sample here? Hold on one sec. Let me go back to that problem. Oh, okay, since it says it's a random sample, see that? That means we're going to have to divide, instead of by 500, right, which was our frequency total, we're going to divide by 500 minus 1. So you take that total that you found for that whole messy column, and you divide it by parentheses 500 C12 for me minus 1. There's your variance, right there. I know it's not pretty, but that's what it is. And then for the standard deviation, so if you like, this is S squared. S squared. There's your variance. So the standard deviation, which is S, is going to be equal to the square root of that value you just found. All right, now let's double check and make sure we haven't completely messed anything up by checking our answers. So I think it's 932.4. Let me go back. Continue, continue, continue. Yep, 932.4. That's what I said it was. Okay, so it's, again, there are lots of ways we can do this, but I think sum product is kind of a new trick that I learned, but I like it better for finding the mean. It's kind of quick. But the variance and the standard deviation, you've got to do this kind of ugly, brutal column, and then find the sum of it, and then divide by, in this case, 500 minus 1, and then take the square root. All right, I hope that helps.